What's up, friends? Welcome into Rock Chalk Sports, ESPN Kansas City and KansasNation.com with Dan Courtwright. I'm Sean Kellerman. Thanks for joining us on this Thursday. We're talking KU basketball here in the opening segment. Why not, right? ESPN College Game Day coming back to the Fog on Saturday. We are just over 48 hours away, or I guess at the time of this recording is being played, we are less than 48 hours away from the 3:30 tip at Fog Allen Fieldhouse. KU ranked 14th in the country. BYU ranked 13th in the country. We'll break that down a little bit here in the opening segment. Of course, we'll have our full KU BYU preview tomorrow on Rock Chalk Sports, which you can hear on these airwaves 4 to 6. Also watch on KansasNation.com. Next segment, talking a little Big 12 football. A good opportunity with no midweek game for Kansas basketball to go back into the transfer portal. And Dan, you had a good idea of going, in addition to Kansas, looking at the other teams in the Big 12 and how they're viewed and some key players coming into the conference.
Yeah, behind enemy lines, if you will. I guess just kind of scouting them, right? Everybody has been affected by the transfer portal, whether that be good or whether that be bad. And we feel like Kansas has done a relatively good job. But right now, Kansas, they rank 12th, I believe, right now in terms of the Big 12 in what they've attained in the transfer portal. So I'm going to do a look through of every single team, kind of what they've brought in, who they've lost, that kind of thing, just in terms of where they're ranking in the Big 12, how much turnover there's going to be. We know Iowa State's going to be a brand new team. We know TCU is going to be relatively the same team. So it'll be a lot of fun to kind of dig through all the transfer portal stuff in regards to the Big 12.
Can I give a spoiler?
Yes.
24/7 Sports. This may be surprising to some, but in the 16-team conference, Kansas is actually 7th ranked 24/7 Sports. So
maybe I was looking at the wrong one.
Some things have been moving.
24/7 Sports?
Yeah.
I have them as 12th.
I've got them as 7th. We're comparing computers right now.
This is the same website.
Same website.
No, you're 25.
I got to refresh. I got to refresh. Okay, 12th.
I'm 2026.
That makes more sense because I saw that Kansas was 12th last week, and I was like, man, things are really changing, right? 24/7 Sports. And again, these rankings are all interesting and don't really matter because no one after the fact looks back and thinks, oh, my God, well, Emmanuel Henderson was a little bit better than we thought. Maybe we should retroactively make Kansas a little bit higher. Like, no one matters, but it's great. You know, we appreciate the work that all the recruiting sites do. But, we will work off that, and we'll also work off the correct year in 2026. Great call there. We're going to be joined a little bit later at KansasNation.com by the voice of the Kansas Jayhawks, Brian Hanni. He was out in Manhattan alongside Dan Courtwright to have KU K-State coverage. Of course, Hanni and Gurley were on the call on the Jayhawk radio network as KU defeated K-State for the first time at Bramlage in 4 years. So we'll get his thoughts on that, some individuals, and certainly the big game coming up in the Fog this weekend. Following that, I am really excited for this, and we actually have not told our producer, engineer, Elijah Schmidt, what we're doing this segment.
Oh, yeah.
But it is a fantasy draft. Dan, lay it on us.
This is something that we've been talking about for a while.
I know.
This is an idea that we've been throwing around.
This is a big day because we're actually doing it now.
It is. We're doing a fantasy draft of excuses our wives and fiancés give to not listen to our show.
Yes, exactly. So one thing that I can say for sure, and I want to shout out my mother-in-law because she listens to every show.
Yes.
I want to shout out your father because he listens to every show.
Yeah, shout out.
My wife does not listen to the show.
Neither does my fiance.
No, so it just doesn't happen, and for whatever reason, and I understand they both have extremely busy schedules.
Yeah,
and we're gonna we
talked about this.
We're gonna dive into this at our draft at all the very legitimate excuses they give to just not be able to tune in to our show. Shout out to Caitlin and Piper respectively on that front. It's tough, man. It's tough out there. So look forward to that a little bit later on KansasNation.com. Draft of excuses that our SOs give to not listen to our show. Talking Kansas women's basketball after that. KU is in Fort Worth to take on number 12 TCU tonight. And then we'll do a little Big 12 men's basketball chatter at the end, update you on the standings. A little bit of a sleepier week, like I said, with no midweek game, but going to be back at it with a full slate on Saturday. K-State is 1-7. Jerome Tang, I'm sure you saw, blaming blaming others, we'll say, for the reason that K-State is not a contender.
Did he blame TJ Otzelberger for cheating again when he didn't? Do you remember this?
Oh, my God.
Last year?
Yeah.
When he said that there was an Iowa State guy behind their bench looking into their into their huddles.
He just, bless his heart. I mean, bless his heart.
I'm going to look back fondly on the Jerome Tang years.
As a KU fan?
As a KU fan.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it was just so much
Well,
fun.
we hated to see Bruce Weber go, but now,
him and his beautiful, long, luscious hair, and then you have Jerome Tang in the airport with no shoes on.
It just got better for KU fans. It just got better.
It really did.
Anyway, more on little brother maybe a little bit later. But let's talk KU basketball here in the opening segment. First, definitely want to shout out Miles Schneer and Crown Automotive, our first partners here at Kansas Nation. Crown Automotive on South Iowa in Lawrence. They will get you in the vehicle that you need. A great selection, Dan, both new and used vehicles.
100%. You and I are both looking for new cars right now, and it's been a little cold, so we actually haven't gone and test drove anything, but we are going to be going to Crown Automotive to check out their huge selection of inventory, a lot of new Toyotas and Volkswagens, a lot of used cars as well. We're looking for maybe something, sporty, but also could carry some stuff. Piper used to drive a Honda Civic. I used to drive a Kia Forte. Both of them relatively small. We're looking for something a little bigger. So she might be looking for maybe one of those Taos models, for the Volkswagens. We might be looking for something along the SUV line. We're not entirely sure. So we'll be looking around, but definitely Crown Automotive. We'll be checking them out and test driving. And I can only imagine that. It's going to be hard to get us off that lot without a car. They're very, very great. All the cars are fantastic, and the salespeople are great as well.
Yeah, crownautomotive.com. If you can't swing by as well, check out some of the selection that they have on there. KU basketball against BYU. Huge day here in Lawrence on Saturday with College Game Day in town. Going to give you a few updates on timing, that sort of thing. But this will be the 13th time that ESPN College Game Day will be broadcast from Allen Fieldhouse. Reese Davis has described Allen Fieldhouse as, quote, the best place to see a game on the planet, end quote. How awesome is that? This is a dude who's been to many different football stadiums, many different basketball arenas, and that was the quote. Pretty special, and certainly we don't disagree around these parts. Reese Davis will be...
When was the last time Game Day was here?
A couple years ago, yeah. Okay, Baylor, 2024. Jay Billis, of course, will be in attendance. Billis was here alongside Dan Schulman for the Iowa State game. Interested to hear what he thinks from the 1-2 Jayhawks compared to the 5-2 Jayhawks that we have now. Jay Williams, of course, Andrea Carter, and Seth Greenberg. There was that weird little stretch, if you remember, where LaFonso Ellis was in for Jay Williams. I think Jay was doing some things at the NBA, but now he's back, and certainly those are the talking heads that we're used to. But yeah, it's a 1-hour show beginning at 10 a.m. Tip-off is slated for 3:30, and then, of course, back on air at 2 o'clock with the Crimson and Blue Show. Sports Radio 810 WHB will simulcast the Game Day show at 10 a.m., and then again, of course, all your KU coverage beginning at 2 p.m. on Saturday. For what it's worth, if you are a student doors open at 8:30. General public doors open at 8:45. That seems way later than when I went when I was in college. I just remember literally waiting. I have a picture on my phone. I'm sure I could show you. I was waiting with a friend or two of mine. And they weren't big basketball fans. They just wanted the experience. Sure. And I obviously wanted to be there for KU basketball fans reasons. But it was just bitter cold. I'm sure it was a January game. And I remember getting in very early, like 6 a.m. They pulled back on that a little bit. And maybe
there's students camping right now.
Maybe I'm remembering it wrong. Who knows? But yeah, 8:30 is the student door open, and then 8:45 the general public. Get out, show your support, show why Kansas is the best place for game day. Parking during game day is free in yellow and red lots. Parking garages will still charge hourly fees, but are available for fans to utilize if they so desire. Vehicles must be moved by noon, however, as then normal game day parking enforcement will take effect. We got, I think I'm saying this word correctly, Rollabanas to the first 750 fans. Rollabanas, Rollabanas. I want you to look that up. Net hats, I know you're familiar with those. You seem like a token net hat guy for the first 500 fans. And you can bring signs, but there's also going to be a sign-making station on the concourse.
Oh, the banner, like the things.
Oh, Rollabanas. Okay.
Yeah.
I couldn't get bananas out of my head.
That's what I was thinking too.
They should just call them Rollabanners.
Yeah.
But I get it. Roll of bananas. That's cool. Those are fun.
Yeah. Okay. They're the ones that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But what's really cool is KU Athletics is providing some prizes. Prizes are going to be given out throughout the show, including a 2022 Final Four chair, a piece of court, which, if I'm not mistaken, is signed by the two-time national champion Bill Self, signs from Allen Fieldhouse. Those are really cool, like the row and section signs, and more. Check out KU Athletics on social media if you want to to get more information on that front.
Just like this one,
similar, just like it.
This one's not signed by Bill Self, unfortunately, but
yeah. Well, nuts and bolts, 8:30, student doors open, 8:45, general public doors open. Yellow and red lots are free, but you got to move your vehicles by noon. Of course, 3:30 tip. But there's a reason game day is here. It's not for just the pomp and circumstance of it. It's KU BYU. This is going to be the fourth time, in our opinion. We don't know for sure, but it should be the fourth time that the number 1 and number 2 picks in the NBA draft do battle. Kyrie Irving and Derek Williams. I'm doing this off the top, so if I miss, let me know. Kyrie Irving and Derek Williams.
Yes.
Duke UNC was Paolo Banchero and somebody. I got this somewhere. I know that I think it was Duke UNC. Paolo Banchero, the year that he was, which is in 2021.
Paolo Banchero draft class. Chet Holmgren? No, he was.
Yeah, it was Holmgren. That's who it was.
Yeah, was it Holmgren?
Banchero and Holmgren.
Did Duke play Gonzaga?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes. So there's one more.
I would assume.
And it wasn't Derrick Rose.
Did Hakeem Olajuwon? No.
Oh boy, you're just picking up a legend.
Well, I'm just, you got to think about it.
More on that, and we don't know for sure that AJ Debonsa and Darren Peterson are going to be taking
Wiggins
1-2 overall. Certainly not in that order, in our opinion.
Did Wiggins and Okafor play against each other? No, they didn't. Okay, interesting.
Wiggins was Jahlil Okafor the second pick?
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm pretty sure he was.
All right. Man, he turned into a bust. Anyway, we're going to obviously tomorrow have a big breakdown, KU, BYU, but the Cougars are 5-2. They lost on Big Monday, the initial Big Monday, Dan, to Arizona. That was in Provo, so a shorter week for them. Still not an incredibly short week, but Kansas has had the full week, and BYU obviously had to face a really good opponent and did so in a losing effort on Monday. They've got a three-headed monster that kind of spearheads their attack, but a couple other nice players as well.
Yeah, and we talked a little bit about this with Henry yesterday, but, I mean, you look at the three-headed monster, as you called it, and A.J. Debonsa, Richie Saunders, and Rob Wright. I mean, all three of those guys just have been unbelievable. A.J. Debonsa, 23.6 points per game, has just been incredible all year long, has a couple of 40-point games in there as well. 6.7 rebounds. I mean, you talk about a half a block per game. Now, he does average about 3 turnovers a game, which is interesting to note. But he can handle the ball really well. For a guy with his size and his ball handling ability is just a mismatch nightmare, 100%. Richie Saunders is just an absolute sharpshooter. He's shooting about 40% from the three-point line, shooting 50% from the field, 18.8 points per game, just an all-around kind of team guy. And then you got Rob Wright, who KU fans are very familiar with Rob Wright. He's averaging 17.5 points per game, 43.4% from the three-point line. So he's their best three-point shooter on the squad. I guess you can look at Dawson Baker, who's only played in 6 games this year, as 47.4. He's not going to play in this game, but Kennard Davis is in there as well. But you look at the three-headed monster, if you will, of those guys, and you start to think about the matchups, right? You go, all right, well, who's going to be on Rob Wright? Probably going to be Melvin, I would assume, is going to be on Rob Wright, just because the defensive upside for Melvin and, the way that he's been playing defense feels, like that would be the ideal matchup, if you will, right? But Kansas is really going to be switching a lot of different things, so you're going to have to be aware of everybody and who's going to be on Rob Wright, who's going to be on Richie Saunders. Is it going to be DP? Is it going to be, somebody else? Is it going to be Trey White? You got to imagine that Trey White and Bryson and maybe Flory are going to be the main guys who are going to be on AJ Debonsa. All of a sudden, you might find yourself on a switch where, out of nowhere, you see AJ being guarded down low by Melvin Council, which Melvin has done that in the past, and Kansas has done a really good job. Whenever they do switch, they do a really good job at not allowing the mismatch to get the ball, right? We saw that a couple of times with Doreen Buka for K-State. We saw some big guys down low trying to post up El Marco Jackson and a Melvin Council. And Flory Bidunga does an excellent job in terms of getting onto those guards and not allowing those post feeds, which I think is really important to note. But if Kansas wants to get out of this, I think that they got to get away potentially from the switching. I think that a lot of the off-ball screens, the BYU does a lot of those, which obviously switching helps with those off-ball screens. And Henry talked about this yesterday as well, where they like to use those off-ball screens to ensure that AJ DeBonta is going to be on the worst, whoever the worst defender is out there on the court. So, do you go away from the switching 5 for the entirety of the game? Do you only do it for a little bit, see how it works, and if it starts to get really bad and AJ's starting to go on a little bit of a run, do you just go to man? Do you? I can't imagine we're ever going to see a zone defense. I'm not even going to throw that out there. But it's going to be interesting to see kind of how Kansas is going to be able to tamper this down, right? I mean, you have the rim protection from Flory. I think Bryson is on an upward tick, but still he needs a lot of work. He needs to be a lot better on the defensive end of the ball. Trey White is fast enough, but I don't know if he's big enough to be able to guard AJ DeBonta. So the mismatch nightmare is just going to continue to get worse, I think. But you got Darren. And that's the biggest thing, is that you have Darren back in this game. All signs indicate that he is going to be playing in this game. He's feeling healthier. He is going to be the number 1 pick in the NBA draft. I believe that. I mean, as of right now, the odds are at minus 160 for that to happen. You got it. You got Darren in your back pocket, right? So I can see this game being a really high-scoring game, and Kansas just has to be able to answer. Now, you have to be able to hit your shots. You have to be able to answer. You have to be able to, not allow BYU to go on runs. And if they do go on runs, Kansas has to go on those runs with them. But I'm saying this is going to be an offensive firepower game where you're going to see a lot of points being scored. And I think a lot of people are going to be really, really happy about that, including ESPN and College Game Day. They're all going to be out there. It's going to be the biggest game of the year. And I can just see this being an offensive firepower fest. We're
going to have more coverage, KU BYU, tomorrow, of course. Make sure you're tuned in to Rock Chalk Sports from 4 to 6, kansasnation.com, ESPN Kansas City. Dan will give some keys to the game. We will dive deeper into BYU, what they have done this season, and certainly look forward to a monster individual matchup. Last time Peterson and DeBonta went at it on the AAU circuit, Peterson scored 61 and DeBonta scored 49. These guys are real dudes, excited for it. And last thing I wanted to say regarding game day coming to town, I mentioned the Reese Davis quote. Jay Billis has probably not a better quote, but certainly funnier. He said, "I really don't think Allen Fieldhouse is that hard of a place to play in. The problem is they make you play Kansas when you come here." So that plays a part, right? And Coach Self, how often do we hear him talk about that when he's at podium post-game and opposing team reporters will ask him, "What did you think of the atmosphere?" Or something. They love asking that. And Coach Self usually responds and says, "I always think that the hardest places to play on the road have the best players playing on them," right? Yeah. And he obviously credits KU's players for a lot of the success of Allen Fieldhouse, if you will, over the years. That's KU BYU, Saturday, 3:30, 2 o'clock, Crimson and Blue Show, and of course, 10 o'clock simulcast on Sports Radio 810 WHB of the College Game Day Special Hour. After this, Big 12 football portal talk, Rock Chalk Sports, kansasnation.com, ESPN, Kansas City. Sean Kellerman, Dan Courtwright, thanks for tuning in on ESPN Kansas City and kansasnation.com. Rock Chalk Sports, you can catch us on kansasnation.com from 4 to 6 every single day. KU basketball, BYU, that's the big one coming up. Top 15 matchup, College Game Day in town, 3:30 on Saturday. But right now we're going to take a little sidestep, if you will, talk Big 12 football. Transfer portal update. As we discussed in the opening segment, Kansas 12th in the 16-team conference in terms of ranking in the transfer portal. Do not read into that in any way, shape, or form, I would say. That's 12th in terms of perceived talent, I guess, right? Yeah. It has nothing to do with fit on a team. The teams below Kansas are West Virginia, Iowa State, TCU, and UCF. The top 2 teams in the conference are Oklahoma State and Texas Tech. Obviously, Oklahoma State bringing in a talented young quarterback in Drew Mestemaker, as well as a new head coach. But yeah, this is, as I talked about, I mean, it's fun. It is really fun. It's fun for us to talk about.
Yeah.
No one has any idea what this is going to be. Kind of similar to the Big 12 preseason polls, which
That's right.
since disappeared. You'd like to think that there was a little bit more, I guess, education behind those. But as was proven, definitely not. But yeah, I mean, we're talking about hundreds and hundreds of players. No one has any idea how it's going to be. But that's where Kansas is right now in 24/7 Sports.
Yeah. So yeah, like you said, Kansas sitting at 12th right now. Nobody knows anything, right? You look at last year. Who would have imagined that? I guess we probably did, but Emmanuel Henderson, who had like 3 catches all year for Alabama, who would have thought that he would have been the absolute burner that he is? Lyric Rawls, who played in maybe like 10 snaps for Oklahoma State last year, who would have imagined that he would have been leading Kansas in terms of snaps on the field, and he would have been essentially the leader of the secondary last year for Kansas, right? So nobody ever knows anything in regards to this, but you can look at stats, and oftentimes they are relatively close to where they are going to be. Sometimes guys are, I think more often than not, you find the diamonds in the rough than you do have a transfer who transfers and is projected to be a 5-star and just absolutely tanks. I think, that USC quarterback who transferred over to Boise State and lost the job. That's like the one example that I could really think of. You also have the Tate. Oh my gosh, that's gonna bug me. Tate something. He played at Ohio State and he transferred to Miami. And never mind. I'm sorry. It's okay. It's not gonna. You know him. He was a highly touted high school quarterback who went to Ohio State. Okay. Was recruited over.
Well, we do have the internet.
To Miami.
I can look that.
Recruited over there, and then they like transferred him to like wide receiver or something. Gosh, that's gonna bug the hell out of me. He was on a Netflix documentary.
Tate Martell.
Okay,
great pull.
Thank you,
internet.
I can't believe I got that. That's crazy.
You did not get it.
No, I know. I said Tate. I got half of it.
That's true.
I got 50% of it.
That's true.
Anyway.
Here's the answer. Oh, this is the answer. I'm so glad I got that.
I said Tate. So the way that it shakes out right now, I will roll through kind of where everybody is ranked in the Big 12, and then I'll kind of roll through some of the other maybe key acquisitions in the transfer portal as well. So Oklahoma State right now, it's kind of crazy to me that they're the number 1 team on this list of rankings in the Big 12. They have 1 5-star who's coming in. You mentioned it earlier, Drew Mestemaker. They also have 4 4-star guys, presumptive 4-star transfers who are going to be coming in as well. They have Caleb Hawkins coming over from North Texas. He's a 4-star. Wyatt Young. He is a wide receiver coming over from North Texas, also a 4-star as well. They also have Justin Bowick, who's a wide receiver coming over from Illinois. So they have a lot of talent coming over from North Texas, following their coach and their quarterback. Obviously, Drew Mestemaker from last year was the leader in terms of passing yards in the nation. So I think that he does have the talent to take it to the next level. Obviously, it's a new changing of the tides for Oklahoma State where, Mike Gundy got fired. All of a sudden, you had Clint Bowen as the acting interim defensive coordinator, who, by the way, is now at Northern Arkansas.
Yes.
So shout out to the Bears, the Purple Bears of Northern Arkansas. Shout out to Clint Bowen, good friend of ours.
North Alabama.
Yeah. What did I say?
You said North Arkansas.
Oh,
the Central Arkansas Bears are who you're thinking of.
I'm thinking Central Arkansas.
Yes,
he's at
North Alabama. Yes.
Still purple.
The pride of Lawrence, Kansas.
That's right. So Oklahoma State, weirdly enough, they're in first place here. I don't know if it's necessarily weird. I mean, they have 54 commits, and they had a lot of guys ship out, right? They had a 4-star wide receiver who wound up leaving, went to K-State. So you have a number of different guys who are leaving Oklahoma State, but they're bringing in a lot of talent as well. I think you can see the buy-in from the new young head coach there at Oak State. Number 2, no surprise here, you got Texas Tech. Texas Tech, they're just throwing money around. What's his name? Cody Campbell. An unbelievable amount of money. They got the number 1 or the number 2, I guess, quarterback in the transfer portal. I guess I think he was number 1 over Drew Mestemaker.
It depends. Well, and then you added.
It depends on who you were looking at.
A couple other guys too, like Darian Mensah. He joined
Right.
late. But yeah, I mean, I think you kind of put everybody in a top 5. But yeah, Sorsby.
Yeah,
guy.
so Brennan Sorsby, who Kansas obviously saw against Cincinnati, he is now going to be over at Texas Tech. And Texas Tech is kind of, you're looking at them going, they're kind of creating the formula of, okay, you need a serviceable quarterback who is good. He's not, I mean, to me, Brennan Sorsby is not an NFL starting quarterback. But when you surround him with the talent that Texas Tech has, especially on the defensive side of the ball, he is serviceable enough to win them a national championship. I truly believe that. You look at the guys like Mateen Ibaragba, who's a 4-star guy, a defensive lineman coming out of Wake Forest. That's just another added addition to the defensive line. Obviously, they're going to be losing David Bailey. You got Jordan Church coming over from Louisville. He was a 4-star interior offensive lineman. They also got a 4-star edge coming over from Miami of Ohio. Adam Trick. They got Malcolm Simons coming over from Auburn as a wide receiver. They got Austin Romaine, who's a 3-star, who we all knew was really, really good. He was really the heartbeat of that K-State defense last year. He's going to be transferring over to Texas Tech.
Absolutely.
So they're shelling out some money for some of the bigger names in the Big 12. Obviously, Austin Romaine is one of those guys. So, I like I said, that's not really a surprise that Texas Tech is going to be in the top 3, top 2. You would think they'd be in the number 1 spot, but just because Oklahoma State is getting a lot of guys in, that's kind of the way why they're up there. You also look, number 3 is Arizona State. Sam Leavitt is leaving, which I think is important to note, but they are bringing in a lot of really talented guys as well, mainly offensive skill position guys. Amarion Miller from Colorado, really good wide receiver. He's a 4-star guy. You got Reed Harris coming over from Boston College, another wide receiver, 6'5", 217, just a long, lengthy guy who's a burner down the field. He's going to be coming to Arizona State. You got Raleek Brown, who's a running back coming over, Raleek Brown is transferring out, but you got Owen Long, who's a linebacker, who's a 4-star guy coming in from Colorado State. So a lot of talent. And Kenny Dillingham, I don't know how vocal I've been about this, might be my favorite Big 12 coach other than Lance Leipold. I mean, he is great in interviews. I like the way that I like his coaching style. I like the way that he has completely turned that program around. He's a young guy. He's full of energy. His guys seem to be bought into him. I just really like Kenny Dillingham, and seemingly so, a lot of the other transfers do as well because they're getting in a lot of talent. They're only bringing in 24 guys. Colorado, they're losing a ton of guys as well. They're number 4 in this. They have 3 4-star guys coming in. Obviously, they've really been, I don't know how, just underperforming, I guess is probably the word to say. You bring in Dion, you have a Heisman winner, you have Shedeur Sanders, you have, all of these guys around you. You had Jordan Seaton, right? Who is transferring now to LSU, who is probably the most expensive offensive tackle in college football history. And you're underperforming. You're barely making bowl games. You're not making bowl games, right? So, to me, Colorado is still, there is the Dion factor, and guys want to play for him, and they are bringing in guys. But like I said, they're losing Jordan Seaton, they're losing Amarion Miller. They are bringing in a Texas wide receiver, DeAndre Moore Jr., who's a 4-star guy, just another guy who's really good at kind of being that reception guy. He's 6', 192. They're bringing in Boo Carter as well from Tennessee. He's a safety. DJ McKinney, he's going to be leaving Colorado to go to Notre Dame. They're bringing in Liana Lefu, who is a linebacker coming out of Texas. So they're losing a lot of guys, but they are bringing in a lot of guys as well. They have 42 commits right now. So a lot of turnover there. Baylor, they're number 5. Only 2 4-star commits as of right now for Baylor. They did bring in DJ Lagway, which I think is important to note because
losing Sawyer Robertson.
And DJ Lagway, say what you want about him. Florida fans weren't crazy about him, but you could still see that raw talent out there on the field. I still think he's a very, very good quarterback. And having him in the Big 12 is just more annoying because DJ Lagway I still think he's a really good quarterback. I think he's getting a lot better as well. So that was their key acquisition out of the transfer portal. They're also losing a lot of guys as well. They're losing a 4-star offensive lineman. They're also losing Bryson Washington, who's a 4-star running back. Also losing a 4-star edge and Kamarion Morgan as well. But they are bringing in DJ Lagway. They also bring in Hosea Wheeler from Indiana. So that obviously is going to be a big-time get for Baylor, national championship winning guy. K-State, they are 6th right now. Like I said, they did wind up getting, they did wind up getting Wendell Gregory, who is an edge from Oklahoma State, who is a really, really solid player. Jace Brown is going to be transferring out to LSU. They got Toby Osunumi, who is transferring over to Indiana. Dylan Edwards, obviously transferring to Kansas. So they're losing a lot of guys as well. They did get Jay Harris, who is a running back from Oregon, who we saw a little bit of last year, just watching Oregon games. He's going to be coming into K-State. So they got their replacement for Dylan Edwards, but still, that's going to be a fun game.
Oh, yeah.
Dylan Edwards,
it'll be a fun game. Hopefully it's really fun for Dylan Edwards. But, yeah, it's interesting. I mean, if you're a K-State fan, like you said, they're 6, so they're still ranked pretty high in the Big 12 conference in terms of transfer portal. But just from a name spot, I mean, imagine in September you told K-State fans, hey, by the way, you're going to lose Dylan Edwards, Jace Brown, and Austin Romaine after this year. I mean, that's a nightmare scenario.
Absolutely.
So they've obviously brought in some guys, but they lose a couple players to Indiana. Edwards obviously comes to the good side, and Jace Brown goes to LSU, where he'll be a top target, I'd imagine, for Sam Levitt. By the way, I just want to point this out regarding Sam Levitt. I don't know if you remember this or not, but I was on Sam Levitt being really, really good pretty much before anybody.
Really?
If you remember on the show, it was when we faced Arizona State, and that was early 2 years ago, and Arizona State beat us. And I remember saying, man, he's the best quarterback we've seen. And people weren't talking about Arizona State because they were picked last in the Big 12 heading into that year. KU goes to Arizona State, and you're thinking on paper, oh, this is a team we should beat. Turns out Arizona State goes to the Big 12 championship, and
goes to college football playoff.
He goes to college football playoff and all that sort of thing. But Levitt, I just had to feather in my cap there a little bit because he looked the part, and obviously now he's. Do you Arizona State fans don't want to hear this, but earned a spot to go to LSU.
Yeah. Do you remember talking about? I believe there was a quarterback battle before, and it was Sam Levitt, and I believe it was Blake Sims. Is that correct?
Okay, Blake Sims.
I think
Jeff Sims?
Jeff Sims.
Jeff Sims,
not Blake Sims. Who's Blake Sims? Blake Sims is another guy.
Yeah.
It was Jeff Sims. There's 2 quarterbacks for Arizona State, and we had Blake Neiman on the show. That's where I got the name Blake. Blake Neiman, Arizona State insider, and he said he really didn't know. He thought Jeff Sims maybe had the edge on Sam Levitt. All of a sudden, boy, was he wrong. You know what I mean? Now, and granted, that goes to show you that even the insiders have no idea, right, in terms of who is going to be good for this. Coming in at the number 7 spot is BYU. BYU is only getting 9 transfers in. Cade Uluave. He's a linebacker, 4-star coming over from Cal. They're also getting Walker Lyons, who's a tight end from USC. A number of different 3-star guys as well. It looks like they're picking apart the former Pac-12. They got another tight end coming over from Oregon. They got an interior lineman coming over from Washington. They got a wide receiver coming over from Oregon. And they got an interior lineman coming over from Stanford. So, again, just picking apart the former Pac-12, if you will. But a lot of really good talent coming over to BYU. They didn't lose a lot of guys from last year. So that's important to note. Cincinnati, they have 20 commits coming in. Only 1 4-star commit for Cincinnati. They're getting Cade Wolford coming over from Kent State, the Golden Eagles.
Yes.
He's a wide receiver, kind of a burner kind of guy. Reminds you a little bit of like Luke Grimm, maybe a little bit. So that'll be good for them. Still not entirely sure kind of their quarterback situation. They did bring in a quarterback, J.C. French, coming over from Georgia Southern. But again, there's probably going to be a little bit of competition there. So we'll certainly see who's going to be the starting quarterback for Cincinnati. Utah's coming in at number 9. They're bringing in a lot of really talented players as well. Their top players, J.J. Buchanan, a wide receiver coming over from Utah, also bringing in 4-star, or excuse me, that's not right. They're bringing in Braden Pagan, a wide receiver from Utah State, is who I was looking at. I saw J.J. Buchanan. J.J. Buchanan did play at Utah last year. He's transferring over to Michigan. A lot of Michigan guys, a lot of Utah guys transferring over to Michigan, obviously, with Kyle Whittingham taking that job. So a lot of turnover there, but they are bringing in some talented players as well. They're bringing in a 3-star safety. They're bringing in a lot of different players. So it's going to be interesting to see kind of how Utah sits as well. Obviously, a lot of turnover in the Big 12 in terms of the head coaching situation. You look at Oklahoma State, right? You look at Utah, you look at just Kansas State. There's a lot of turnover at the head coaching spot in the Big 12. You look at Iowa State, right? So it's going to be really, really interesting to see kind of how all this fits together. Also at number 10, you got Houston. Houston was really weird last year. They just completely shocked everybody, and all of a sudden they were really good. And they have a number of different guys coming in as well. They got Mekhi Hughes coming over. He's a running back from Oregon. They got Javion White coming over from Tulane. They got Anthony Boswell from Toledo coming in, safety and interior offensive lineman respectively. Also got Trent Walker coming over from Oregon State. So a lot of really good players coming in. Willie Fritz is doing an excellent job with that Houston program. Now, Connor Wegman's not going to be there next year, so they have a quarterback situation that they're going to have to be facing as well. So that'll be interesting to see. A lot of turnover in terms of the quarterbacks, too. Arizona, they're coming in at 11th right now. They have one 4-star guy who's going to be coming in. That's Cole Rusk. He's a tight end from Illinois. Other than that, a lot of 3-star guys coming over from Oregon. They got Dalen Austin. They got Cam Champa from North Colorado. DJ Jordan coming over from USC. Tyrese Boss from McNeese State. So a lot of guys coming over to Arizona. That's one you would really want to get back, and I'm just kind of going off on a little tangent here. That's just one you really want to get back for Kansas. I know that they're not going to be playing this year.
Yeah, there have been more than a handful that have stung.
That one stings. And then coming in at 12 is Kansas with 30 commits. Right, Kansas is up there in terms of commitments gotten.
It is.
If you look at the total number, Kansas right now is third, I believe. No, they're fourth. Third, fourth, fifth.
Oklahoma State's got 54.
Fifth. They're tied for fifth in terms of just number of different guys who are coming in to the program.
Oklahoma State 54. Iowa State has 47. I mean, that's expected after the coaching changes for sure. But yeah, Kansas with 30, and it's interesting. BYU only has 9 commits, and the fact that they're 7th. So with that situation, again, it's just focused the fact that there's talent coming in to Provo, and a lot of good players across. And like again, Houston's a perfect example. They weren't ranked high in terms of the portal last year.
Right.
That'd be fun to look into the 2025 and see, okay, where are these guys in the portal? And obviously, it doesn't tell the whole story because you do have the element of returning players as well. But Houston, like you said, out of nowhere, was all of a sudden good last year, and they were, for 2-3 years in the Big 12, absolutely nothing, and they turned it around. And I know we're up against a break, but rounding out the final 4 teams in the Big 12 below Kansas and 24/7 Sports, Stan, West Virginia, Iowa State, TCU, UCF. Anything that you want to highlight on that front?
Yeah, West Virginia's bringing in a lot of guys as well, just not a lot of talent. You look at their 33 commits, all 33 of them are 3-star or below. Then you look at Iowa State, they're bringing in 47 commits. I mean, you looked at when Matt Campbell wound up leaving to go take the Penn State job, they had 16 guys on their entire roster, right? So a lot of turnover there. And then you look at just the number of different guys that they wind up losing to Penn State alone is unbelievable. You look at Rocco Becht, you look at Benjamin Brahmer, you look at Chase Sowell, you look at Caleb Bacon, Marcus Neal. I mean, there's a number of different guys just going down the list of guys who are leaving Iowa State to go over to Penn State. They did get Jontez Williams, No, they didn't. Oh, my gosh. This is insane. Isaac Terrell, who came over from Washington State, which makes sense because Washington State's head coach is now Iowa State's head coach. So just expect Iowa State to be really bad this year. TCU, they only have 12 commits. I don't think there's a lot of turnover there at TCU. Josh Hoover's not going to be there anymore, but it is going to be interesting to kind of see where TCU kind of slides into all of this. You kind of see them as sort of a middling Big 12 team. And then last place is UCF, which kind of shocks me a little bit just because Scott Frost, I think, is a really good recruiter and is a really good coach. And I think a lot of guys do want to play for him. So it's a little shocking to me that they're not getting the amount of talent that a lot of these Big 12 schools are.
Josh Hoover, the TCU quarterback, of course, will be the next quarterback at Indiana. That's a big get for Indiana as they try to make it, back-to-back national championships. Just hard to even fathom that sentence being said a couple years ago. But Curt Cignetti, in just 2 years, all of a sudden turned Indiana into a national championship program. They went 16-0, absolutely ridiculous, and they're losing Fernando Mendoza to the NFL draft. That's a look at Big 12 transfer portal update. Great stuff, Dan. A lot of guys. It all starts with a quarterback, and very interested on the KU side of things, who wins the battle here on Mount Oriad. After this, we're going to be joined by Brian Hanni, the voice of the Jayhawks. Thanks for watching Rock Chalk Sports on KansasNation.com. Big game coming up on Saturday, college game day in town, KU and BYU. And as we know, there's a certain energy that comes with Jayhawk basketball, the crowd rising together, the band playing, and the unmistakable moment when fans lift their arms and wave the wheat, a tradition that represents pride, unity, and Jayhawk spirit. With Jayhawk checking from Central Bank, that tradition does not stop when the game ends. Jayhawk fans can carry their pride wherever they go with the official Jayhawk debit card, a simple way to show school spirit every day. Central Bank is proud to support the traditions and communities that bring people together. And as the proud community banking partner of the University of Kansas, Central Bank is committed to serving Jayhawk fans with banking options designed for real life, on campus, at work, and everywhere in between. If you're ready to wave the wheat beyond the stands, learn more about Jayhawk Checking and the exclusive debit card at jayhawkchecking.com. That's jayhawkchecking.com. Central Bank, the proud community banking partner of the University of Kansas, member FDIC. Welcome back to Rock Chalk Sports. Going to be joined now in studio by Brian Hanni, the voice of the Jayhawks. BH, I hope you've gotten some time to kick it on the couch with your fiance and your pup, and have had a good week, because you don't get a lot of breaks this time of year. A bye week for Kansas after a snowy trip to the Little Apple, and it's not going to get easier for KU, but that had to be a victorious drive back.
Yeah, that was a special drive back, no doubt. We've made some rough treks coming back from Manhattan the last few years, and that was a fun one. Certainly calling up to you and David on the post game at however late that was, and having some fun camaraderie with Steve and Greg coming back. But, yeah, great to see a team win like that. Great to see transfer pieces like Melvin and Trey embrace the rivalries and understand the significance of that game. I think that was the biggest takeaway from me. And I know 99.9% of our fan base was just fine with Melvin's celebration, both on the court and in the locker room. But regardless of what you felt about it, my takeaway was, here's a guy that's only been here 7 or 8 months, but he gets it. He understands, what your most important games on the schedules are, and what the traditions are, not only of the Jayhawks, but their rivals. And I think that's the first thing that gets lost in this transfer portal time that we're living in, when guys are only here for a matter of months, when many players play at 4 different schools in 4 years. You don't have the same invested interest in the rivalries and the same loyalties to the traditions that make schools great and college athletics great. Many times it kind of feels like free agency, where you're just renting a player for a year and then on to the next school. And in Melvin's case, the fan base has fallen in love with this guy. We wish we had him from day one because of what a great fit he is here at Kansas. And I would say the same about Trey White. So a lot of good things to break down from that one, from Bryson Tiller's breakout to Marco Jackson's career high. But I think what I'll remember the most is the way the game ended, not just the celebration at the end, but the way we put the hammer down over the last 8 minutes and blew them out. And then and to see the way guys that are only going to be here for a matter of months, you feel like they've been a part of this thing from day one, with how much Melvin gets it, and how important those rival games are.
Yeah, well said. Well, whether it was a hammer, a cannonball, or a belt, it was in KU's favor on Saturday in the Little Apple. And the other guy who I was so impressed with, and I've talked about this because I've just been gushing about his defensive performance, is Flory Bidunga. I mean, in this age of NIL,
in the transfer portal,
we don't get a chance to see these guys necessarily ascend, or maybe even more so, fans forget that that's an option. Flory Bidunga is getting better. These guys can improve. He's getting better. We're seeing that in front of our eyes. And it's not just the 21-10. It's the Udoka Azubuike-like way defensively that he's able to guard 1 through 5. Haggerty couldn't get around him. And the K-State guards really struggled. And then a couple times they kind of dead in the water, threw something up, and he denied it. Just a really, really special talent. Coach K saying with you on Hawk Talk on Monday that he's got the highest defensive ceiling, I think was the question that you asked Coach K in regards to switching all 5 positions. And he's kind of a little weapon that other teams don't have. And it's just fun to see because, yeah, it's going to be tough to score on Kansas with Flory playing like that.
Yeah, no doubt. And I love the way you phrase that question about how in this era that we're in, you don't really get a chance to see guys grow and develop anymore because typically one of two things happen in their first season. They're either so good that they move on, and I'm talking about, 5-star, highly touted recruits coming in, or they don't get enough PT or it just doesn't click or fit, and they're out the door moving on to a different college. And rarely do you have a guy that shows promise, maybe doesn't achieve everything he wanted to, but decides to stick and stay and keep growing and building within that same system and coaching staff and all that. And as we all know, there was certainly a few days of doubt in there. We wondered if we get Flory back for this season, but thankfully it all worked out, and he's continued to be, a tremendous teammate, a guy that really wants to work hard every day and get better. He brings this happy-go-lucky air about him in practice that sometimes doesn't always strike you as the most serious guy on the floor, but he's working his tail off to get better. And he knows ultimately what the future could hold for him if he is all that he can be over the next couple of months here in terms of his draft stock and all that. So really happy to see him. When league play started a few weeks ago, I think it was the week of the TCU game, ESPN came out with a mock draft, and we had the first pick in the draft and the 59th pick in the draft, second to last. That, of course, was Flory.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself at the time, yeah, that's about right based on what we'd seen the first couple of months, but what might it look like 2 months from now? And we're starting to see him really tap into that potential. And the versatility of what he brings defensively is awesome. I love that Bryson Tiller played more to his size in that game. And I'm not just talking about opening 5 for 5. I just thought that in a lot of regards, he played bigger and was the aggressor. And you need that because Kansas still doesn't have that big wide body bulldozer type to push guys around unless Bryson becomes that. It's great that Flory can slide his feet and guard all 5 positions, but as we saw in the West Virginia game, sometimes you need a little bit of bulk in there too. And so the fact that Bryson played bigger, I thought was a big key as well. There are so many guys that, you could look at Saturday night and say, man, we really are rounding into form. But now it's a different kind of litmus test these next 15 days. Now you hope that a 4-game win streak and the momentum and the good vibes and everything that you've built over the last couple of weeks spills over into the next 2 weeks, because whether it's, a 13th ranked BYU team on Saturday or what follows in Lubbock, in Ames, Arizona at home, obviously Utah is the game right in between, but you got 5 games over the next couple of weeks, 4 of which are against top 13 teams, one of which is the number 1 team in the country who is undefeated, 2 of which are arguably the 2 toughest road venues outside of Allen Fieldhouse in the Big 12 Conference. You could say Houston, but honestly, Lubbock has become that. Ames has always been that next toughest road test. This is our next fortnight, guys. This is reality. So I love it that we're talking about all the individual strides and all that. I just hope that, as they start to go up against a much different caliber opponent the next 2 weeks, we're saying the same thing.
100%. Brian Hanni, voice of the Jayhawks, joins the show here in studio. Brian, wanted to talk to you about the upcoming game against BYU. Obviously, the magnitude of this game cannot be understated. College game day is going to be here. But before kind of we talk about that, I want to talk to you about, BYU, they just lost at home to Arizona in kind of a heartbreaking fashion because they were down 19 halfway through the second half. All of a sudden, they clawed their way back, wound up still losing by 6. Do you think that's going to be a factor in this game? Teams coming off of not only just a loss, but a loss in that way where they worked their tail off so much to get back into that game and still wound up losing to the number 1 team. Obviously, they're going to be coming into Kansas. They're going to be coming into Allen Fieldhouse kind of with a chip on their shoulder.
Yeah, and they should have confidence that they took the undefeated Wildcats to the brink and darn near won the thing. And so, sure, I think there's disappointment, but frustration and motivation that can all be derived from Monday. But there's also confidence to look at how we played to get the game close. I mean, it's such an exciting matchup on so many levels. And before you even break down the individuals, you think about the recent history and the fact that they came in and beat us in the Fog 2 years ago. Yeah. And then they kind of took us behind the woodshed last year out there in Provo. I remember texting Sean Kellerman as I was getting on the bus, getting set to put in my earbuds and listen to him and David and how they were going to recap last year's loss at BYU. And you did such a great job, Sean, of keeping it positive, because that was an avalanche that felt out like it fell down upon us. So here's a chance to get them back a little bit. And obviously everybody's going to talk about Peterson versus DeBonza, and for good reason. We know about the just epic high school and prep ball matchups they had going back and forth, and many folks want to see the same. And it would be easy to fall into that, where one guy on one end does something remarkable, and then you take the ball down on the other side, and it's anything you can do, I can do better. And as Paul Pierce watches from probably the first row, I'm reminded of a game that probably happened before Daniel was born, but 1998, when Paul Pierce rattled off 15 consecutive points versus Oklahoma, one of the most historic individual performances in Allen Fieldhouse history. Could we get Darren Peterson on a heater where something similar happens? Maybe. These are the things that we as fans think about. But you and I know, and most folks watching right now know, that this game's going to be won by the other guys as well, and who has the better supporting cast around DeBonza and Peterson. And Jeremy Case on that Hawk Talk you just referenced was quick to point out, this isn't Peterson versus DeBonza, this is Kansas versus BYU, and it's about the total team effort that's going to win it come Saturday. So will we see some take over the game type moments? Perhaps, but what say does Saunders or Wright have in this game? What say does Bidunga, Council, and White have in this game? You know, one of those guys rising up and carrying it for a stretch might be who lifts this team to a victory when it's all said and done. So believe me, I'm as fired up for all the pomp and circumstance around those two players, but it's more about these two programs and a showcase for a college basketball setting that I don't know that it was ever not at a tilted top of the conference, top of the country, home court. But I will say this, post-pandemic, and you may not know this, but nationwide, post-pandemic, student attendance at basketball games and student enthusiasm for college basketball was down across the country. And the student numbers at Kansas were fine, but were they really amped like some of the great student sections and just the frothing at the mouth, chomping at the bit, fan intensity that we've come to know and love in the Fog? Post-pandemic, I think there was a lack of connectivity at a lot of schools around the country because you weren't at the games and you didn't connect with the student athletes because you weren't at the classes. Everything was online. And that still is the case for many student athletes. To watch 109 camping groups be there at 6 a.m. through 10 p.m. over the last 5 days, to see some of these kids interviewed and to see how excited they are for this game, to think about the atmosphere, the intensity, just the special nature of our home court and what it's going to be at 3:30 on Saturday. I cannot wait. We're so back. Now let's go out there with that sixth man and have a historic win on our 1,000th game in the Fog, with Paul Pierce watching from the stands, with a couple of the top draft picks going toe-to-toe, but with two great programs also on display, one of which has so much storied tradition. Let's build upon that tradition on Saturday.
Absolutely. And College Game Day in town, I mean, it's going to be a absolutely huge scene on Saturday, 3:30, 2 o'clock with the Crimson and Blue show on the Jayhawk Radio Network. So much to get into. And to your point about the fans, Dan and I have talked often about how this year has felt a little bit different. And I think a big reason is the connectivity with guys like Council and White and everybody on this team, just the excitement. The last couple of years, it was a little stale, honestly, compared to what it was in the past. And certainly it feels like it's back. One more BYU question. Do you have any bad Rob Wright memories in your day? So Wright and DeBonza, I want to point this out, and this is probably a bad thing, the fact that against Arizona they combined 9 of 40 from the field. That's not very good, and they ended up only losing by 3. Rob Wright, 18 points a game, 45% from 3 heading into that one. And obviously, as a freshman, took over in Waco last year. You were there front and center and saw it. He concerns me. I think I know what your answer is going to be, and it's probably going to be personnel related. But what gives you confidence that Kansas will be able to neutralize him when they weren't able to last year? And he just took over as kind of a young, small freshman.
Well, I'll start with a self-deprecating story that hopefully you don't make into your promo clip. But, whenever we go to Waco, Chip Gaines is usually there.
Yeah.
Sometimes Joanna Gaines is there. And it's great to see their passion for Baylor athletics and their enthusiasm for college sports and all that. And I've had a chance to meet Chip briefly, quick handshake, whatever. Seemed like a great guy. But what were we up at the half that game? Do you remember? Was it 20 or 21?
I think it was 20.
I can't remember if it was a round number or not. But either way, we head into the locker room, and, man, we're
19.
fired up. Well, it was 19?
19.
But we were up 21, and they hit a bucket late or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
But we had a 20-plus point lead in the final minute, I think, of the first half. But we head to the break, and, man, we're puffing out our chests, and we're feeling like $1 million. Holy moly, we just came in here, and, we got this massive upper hand. Edgecombe's rolled his ankle or whatever it was. And I say kind of flippantly going to break, Chip and Joanna got a real fixer-upper on their hands here today.
Oh, yeah.
And, man, I immediately hear from all these KU fans, oh, that was so good or whatever. Hour later, they fixed it up.
Yeah.
And they chalked it up, and it wasn't the Jayhawks winning it. And I heard from some Baylor fans at that point. I don't know how they were listening or how that quote got to them.
Right.
But I actually heard from some Baylor fans, and it was all in good-natured fun. But I was like, you know what? We try to be catchy and witty sometimes.
60-30 in the second half.
Yeah. We're not used to at Kansas seeing leads like that blown anywhere. But to see it blown in that fashion of epic minus 30 proportion in the second half was certainly something we didn't see coming. So when you started that question with, do you have any Rob Wright memories? My mind immediately went to Chip and Joanna and the fixer-upper indeed that they pulled off that day. But, yeah, he's terrific. Do I think we have personnel on the perimeter that can lock him up better this season than last season? Absolutely. Am I excited about, what El Marco's become defensively and what Melvin and some of these other guys can do collectively? Absolutely. So it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, I'm also concerned about Saunders at almost 19 a game. I'm concerned about Baker at 47% from three. There's a lot of weaponry they can hit you with beyond the Bonsa. And so I think it's an all-hands-on-deck type game for Kansas, and hopefully a KU team that is buying in to that notion that Coach Self says, and it sounds so elementary every time he says it, but we got to make other teams play bad. We got to tighten the screws and ratchet up the notches to force teams into well below their typical percentage or turning the ball over. I think they're getting that now. And we've seen a lot of that these last 2 or 3 games in the midst of the 4-game win streak that has me really excited that they're developing that identity and becoming what he set out for them to be all along.
Yeah, 100%. Brian, obviously a big-time game coming up against BYU. College Game Day is going to be there. You can hear coverage of that on Sports Radio 810 WHB starting at 1 o'clock with Sean Kellerman. 2 o'clock, excuse me.
2 o'clock, Crimson and Blue Show.
Yeah, 2 o'clock. David Lawrence and Sean Kellerman will be at the Field House. I will be actually at Rally House from noon to 2, so come check me out there on 23rd Street, right by Crunch Fitness. And Freddie's doing a remote out there for 810. Brian, I want to talk to you about the future. As it came out yesterday, Kansas is going to be in the CBS Sports Classic coming up for the next few years. Going to be taking on Ohio State next year, Madison Square Garden. North Carolina's in this, as well as Kentucky. UCLA was in it for a long time. Then they got taken out probably, and Sean brought this up, probably because now they're in the same conference as Ohio State, so that makes sense to kind of take them out. St. John's was in it last year, but not a lot of room for breathing, obviously, and Kansas always does such a good job in terms of scheduling really tough opponents in the non-con, and this is just sort of solidifying that fact now. And Sean and I did the math on it, and we think that there's probably room for one more marquee home game, but still not a lot of room for many bye games, as a lot of the Big 12 teams can seemingly get away with.
Yeah, I think as a proud Jayhawk and a drum beater when it comes to our tradition, and we don't shy away from any opportunity to showcase our program and our prestige. You're excited about it because obviously the schedule fills up fast when you're committed to the Champions Classic, you're committed to the Players Era, and now another showcase of premier programs. And Champions Classic, folks have always said, man, it'd be great if Carolina was in that with Kansas, but that was never going to be the case with Duke in it for the same reasons you just mentioned about conference opponents, UCLA and Ohio State. And so it's great to be in a rotating showcase that has a regular game with the Tar Heels based on, as we talked about back in November, how intertwined those programs are. And now you're going to play Kentucky 2 out of 3 years. That I think we're fine with because we get up for those matchups every year. So I'm cool with it. But it does certainly, fill up the calendar fast. And, it sounds like this coaching staff is committed to being in the players' era every year because of what that means for earning potential for their players and the great showcase they think that is. Obviously, Champions Classic is one that we've been proud to be involved with for a while, so doesn't leave a whole lot of other meat on the bone for additional schedulings, but it does give you something to look forward to each and every year. And for KU fans that have been making the trek up there for Champions and watching the famous Christmas tree in Times Square go up in November, now you actually get to see it lit up and sing some carols around it in late December, so it'll be a different kind of feel in NYC.
Man, don't tempt me with a good time. That sounds like a blast. Well, and the other thing, and I didn't mention this on the show yesterday when this news came out, but Kansas hasn't won the Big 12 the last couple of years, but there are only so many marquee events like this. Isn't it kind of in terms of beating the drum and puffing out your chest? Hey, we're still Kansas. We're still, seen as top tier in the Big 12 and certainly the most historic college basketball program. Brian, I hope you're excited for this stretch run. It's a tough slate, but a great opportunity for Kansas basketball moving forward because we look at it as, a lot of really tough games. But if you win those games, I mean, you're setting yourself up for success from a seeding standpoint, and obviously trying to win the Big 12 still on the table for KU as well. And don't look now, but KU baseball is starting. Brady Ballinger, he got recognized in the preseason. I'm sure you're excited for that once basketball wraps up. But appreciate you coming in, as always, on Thursdays. And I know you appreciate Nate Miller and all that he's done for you.
Yeah, it's hard to believe baseball is 2 weeks away as we look outside and see the snow and the ice out there and all that. But Coach Fitz has that team prime for a big-time spring. We can't wait. But, yeah, big thanks to Nate Miller of the Miller Retirement Group. They're located just behind us here in downtown Lawrence. But no matter where you're watching or listening from, give them a call. Check out the website, millerretirementgroup.com. They'd love to sit down with you and make sound investments for your most profitable long-term financial future and success, setting up a retirement plan, or maybe you just sold a business and you're looking to reallocate those funds into different investments. They'd love to sit down and evaluate that with you today. Great to see you guys. Let's make it a memorable Saturday on game number 1,000 in Allen Fieldhouse history. Right. And then when I talk to you next week, as you said, we will have really found out where we're at because you go from number 13 BYU into a hornet's nest in West Texas against a Texas Tech team, to me, that looks like a top 10 caliber club. So can't wait to see. And we'll find out, the Bryson Tiller step forward in Manhattan. What does it look like the next couple of games with Devonsa and Toppin and some of these guys? How do we continue to build upon that as we ratchet up this degree of difficulty dramatically?
Yeah, we talk a lot about Devonsa, but Toppin's won Big 12 Player of the Week 3 of the last 4 weeks, and he's obviously the reigning Big 12 Player of the Year. So, we look at the schedule, but David and I always talk about maybe not as much the past couple years. We got to play this team or that team, but they got to play us. They got to play Kansas, so that's another way to look at it for sure. But, check out Hanni and the Hawks as well. That's one of our podcasts on the Kansas Nation Podcast Network. New episode just dropped today, actually. Brian Hanni with Brennan Bouchard. So one of our many podcasts, as I said. Brian had a sit-down with Coach Bouchard, and, excited to break that out, continue that partnership with Jefferson's and all of our great partners here at Kansas Nation. After this, a fantasy draft you will not want to miss.
Yes.
The top, I guess it's not a top 10. Yeah. We're going to fight over best excuses that our significant others give to not watch or listen to our show. Fantasy Draft is next on Rock Chalk Sports, KansasNation.com. Welcome back to Rock Chalk Sports, KansasNation.com. We both made it back from the bathroom in plenty of time. I'm going to take a quick swig of this energy drink here. We're going to get into a fantasy draft. Dan, you wanted to interject?
Yeah, I wanted to talk about Game Day Men's Health.
Yes, let's hear about them.
I would love to talk about Game Day Men's Health. Game Day Men's Health here. Are you going to take a drink or not? This is why I'm doing this. Game Day Men's Health here in Lawrence is here to get you back in the game. If you don't have the energy to go to work, go to the gym, spend time with your family or your kids, go get yourself checked out at Game Day Men's Health. Your health is very important. Guys like to push things off until the very end, if ever. Whenever they do this, I urge you to go check out Game Day Men's Health here in Lawrence. They're going to get you back in the game. The first visit, 100% complimentary. I don't know why you wouldn't do that. 100% free. You go, get yourself checked out. They'll make sure everything's working. If it is, great. If not, they're going to do everything in their power to get you back in the game. A number of different peptides, testosterone replacement, therapy, vitamins, whatever that you need to get you back in the game, they will help you do it. So check out Game Day Men's Health and their plush man cave-like setting.
Mitch Bale, Sam Abram, and the whole team over there at Game Day Men's Health, friends of us here at Kansas Nation, and obviously great partners as well. Game Day Men's Health, check them out online. Give them a call. First visit, totally complimentary.
Yes.
3-step process. There's a blood draw, and if you are dealing with things, even if it's something as simple as low energy, like Dan said, they can help you out over at Game Day. Just came out today that Flory Bidunga named to the Naismith Defensive Player of the Year watch list, which is timely given our conversation with Brian Hanni and the performance that he had in Manhattan defensively. A lot to prove now for Kansas, and we're going to break down KU BYU in the opening segment tomorrow. We'll get Shreyas Lada on the show as well for an extended breakdown, but now is the time for Kansas. They did what they needed to in winning 4 consecutive games, and now it's all about 5-2. The big boys are coming up. KU's got to answer the bell. Looking forward to Saturday at 3:30. All right, Dan, fantasy draft. Let's get into this.
Yes, this is a fun one. I can't believe
I'm excited.
We're finally doing this. We are doing a fantasy draft of excuses our wives and fiancés give to not listen to our show.
How should we put this? Because I've got one wife and you've got one fiance.
Significant others, probably.
Yeah, SOs.
Yeah, our multiple wives and fiancés and girlfriends and mistresses and all of them. None of them listen to the show.
Oh, God.
No, I'm just kidding. We both love our significant others.
We could just do this. We could just say
they are very supportive in our
from afar. Yeah,
in our job selection. Maybe a little too supportive, but not to the point where they actually listen.
We could just do top excuses. Again, I keep saying top. I keep wanting to say top 10.
Yeah.
Draft of excuses that Caitlin and Piper give to not listen to the show.
Yeah, the Caitlin and Piper give. Yeah, let's just use their names, I suppose. But yeah, no. But
I'm not going to tell Caitlin that we did this, and she's never going to know about it.
Same.
So
yeah,
it's
Piper
funny.
will never know in a million years, unless
Chris,
Teresa,
CC,
Teresa,
Chris
your
and Teresa.
mother-in-law, and my father,
Yes.
unless they spill the
That's
beans.
true. That's true.
Don't you spill the beans.
All right. Top excuses that.
So, I had
draft of excuses.
Yeah, I had the MIAA flipping coin. Is from the only game I ever got meaningful playing time in. It was September 12th, 2019. I played it in 3 snaps. 2 of them were victory formation. Sean, the other one, by the way, was Indiana.
Wing right, halfback dive.
No, it was inside zone.
Oh, okay.
I was an attached tight end. I had to double with a tackle.
Man, how about you? God,
I'll
I'm
never
sure you
forget that play.
exquisitely.
It was good, dude. I got a fist up on that chest plate too. I was a good double team, even though the inside zone ran away from me.
God.
So it didn't really matter.
What a great memory.
Thank you.
What a fantastic memory.
Yes. Shout
Were
out.
you in a 3-point stance for victory formation?
No, I was weirdly enough. I was playing like H back, so I was like S back, but I was unattached and I was actually in the backfield.
Okay.
So it's kind of like a fullback.
Yeah.
So like I don't really know.
Hands on your knees.
So yeah. So my position in college was S back. That's what we called
Stinger
it.
back.
Stinger back. But it was essentially an H back, which is a kind of a tight end / slot receiver / fullback hybrid. I played all of them, so I don't really know what to tell people.
Yeah.
I always just say tight end.
Yeah.
But I also played a little fullback. I never took any handoffs.
Right. Well,
clearly because I only played in 3
same deal with
snaps.
Jared Casey. Did he take any fullback?
Right. Yeah.
He may have
was
taken a handoff.
Yeah,
or 2.
I was Jared Casey.
Yeah.
I think that's probably.
That's the best way
I
to
was
put it.
Jared Casey.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, let's.
I was a 4th string Jared Casey. Anyway.
All right.
Let's flip the coin. Sean, I will let you call it in the air. The
right.
MIAA is heads. The football player with the teams is tails.
All right. Tails.
All right, it's tails.
It's tails. All right. Snake draft. Good.
By the way, I just want to say this. Not that there's like a clear 1-1 overall because this is very specific to our lives, but if we were to go back and look at how many times you've won the coin toss, it's probably like 90%.
It is ridiculous. And there have been some where it's mattered.
Yeah.
And I feel like the ones that you've won,
Yeah.
it's
They haven't.
worked out for me because
Right.
I've gotten 2 and 3, but maybe I'm just a better drafter than you.
That might be.
All right. Top.
grab this.
You need. The only thing that bothers me about this is you're not married yet. If you were married, it would be a lot easier to say this is a draft our wives give of excuses to not listen to our show.
Significant
But that's what
others.
we're doing. We're doing a fantasy draft. Excuses our SOs give to not listen to our show. 1-1 overall. You're not going to believe this one.
Okay.
Caitlin says instead of listening to the show, she'll be taking care of the baby.
Oh, taking care of the baby. Yeah, good one, Caitlin.
So she's not listening to the show.
Whatever.
Excuse number one, because she's taking care of the baby.
I have something.
I mean, isn't that ridiculous?
We've been doing this show before she had that baby.
Oh, yeah, but I had a baby before this baby.
Yes, but she was a toddler. And there were some days where maybe she was on
That's why it's an excuse. You're right. I'm with you.
How much care do babies really need? That's my question.
Tell me about it.
I mean, they sleep, they poop, and they eat, right?
Yes. Usually not in that order.
They eat, then poop.
And then sleep.
Sleep?
Yes. Depends on when the day starts, which is different. But
Yeah.
yes, there's some pooping and there's some
You gotta hold
eating
it
and
sometimes, right?
It. He's going with it.
Just toss it in the crib.
It.
Her,
Yes. It's more appropriate.
she, whatever.
Yeah. Taking care of the baby is excuse number one that Caitlin gives. It's unbelievable to me.
Yeah, I'm not crazy about that one. I think that feels like an excuse.
It does.
And it's built in. And I think that she got pregnant on purpose to
not
have that
listen to our
excuse
show.
to not listen to the show.
Gosh. Why she made that choice to get pregnant.
That frustrates the hell out of me. That's a good pick.
Crazy.
Piper does not have that. My first pick is going to be similar to that, though.
Okay.
Which I hear
Taking
this
care of
one
the
a
dogs.
lot. It's taking the dogs on a walk.
Yeah. Taking the dogs on a walk. Yeah. So that's very similar.
But here's the thing. Our show's 2 hours, and it's on YouTube and Spotify and Apple
But that's what I'm
Podcasts and
saying.
SoundCloud. And you can listen to it whenever.
Yeah. You can also like and subscribe.
Are you
whenever you want.
constantly taking the dogs on a walk?
Right.
Now,
Like,
we are live
the
on
baby-
KansasNation.com
The
and ESPN
baby
Kansas City.
does sleep. So even when the baby's awake, pop in an earbud. I mean,
Yeah. I mean,
just
you have a soothing voice. It puts me to sleep all the time.
all the time. Yeah, it's great.
Why not
I mean,
play it when
I
the
listen
baby's
back
going
to our
sleep?
show when I'm falling asleep.
Yeah, so do I. Yeah, she's always taking the. She's like, well, I was taking the dogs on the walk, and then
Just couldn't find
I
the time.
was taking the dogs on the walk. I just didn't have the time to be able to do it because she's taking the dogs on a walk, a 2-hour walk apparently. She just doesn't have. Which, by the way, if you're taking the dog, like you can pop in some earbuds.
Yeah,
no big deal.
totally.
I don't blame her though. Number 2 on this on my second overall pick. Are we doing 6?
Yeah.
So I have a lot.
Yeah. We'll do 6.
All right. My second overall pick is, well, you never ask about my work.
Ooh.
That's a good one.
So sort of the revenge.
Yeah. She's like, well, I don't bring my work home. Like, work is work time. Home is home time. She's not going to spend her home time listening to my work time.
Okay. I mean,
To be fair, I don't
It's
know.
kinda fair.
I don't know anything about her work.
yeah.
Like she's like, oh, and then Rachel did this one thing, and
separate-
then Lindsay did this.
separate
I don't
but
know any of
equal.
these people.
Right.
Don't know any of these
Separate but
people.
equal, yeah.
Yeah.
Classic Rachel and Lindsay.
Classic Rachel and Lindsay.
Yeah, it is.
My goodness.
All right.
But no, yeah, it's you never ask about my work, so why would I? And there's a ring of plausibility to that. I think you should, it's good to maybe keep those things separate. But
Yeah.
also in our line of work, it's hard to, right? Because we have to be watching games.
Right. I know. God, just putting in the hours, man.
Yeah. I know we always put in a tough day work at the podcast factory.
Over at Allen Fieldhouse.
Yeah, tough blue collar work is what we do here.
You're not
And some people can say warriors, some people can say heroes.
You're not going to
but I want to be humble about this, and I think I am humble about this.
You are
I'm probably
extremely
the
humble.
most humble person in the world when it comes to this.
In general, though, no one's
Really,
more humble
no, nobody's more humble than I am. Are you kidding me? I've never met a single person who's more humble than me.
Yeah, exactly. All right, we're doing a draft of excuses that our wives or fiancés give to
Significant
not
others.
listen to our show. I have taking care of the baby, and that's just a classic excuse that Caitlin has. And then Dan has taking the dogs on a walk for something that Piper gives as an excuse,
Yes.
and the revenge you never ask about my work.
Yes.
Mine, and this is ridiculous because Caitlin drops this one all the time as to why she won't listen to the show. Working.
Oh, she's in the middle of working.
Yeah.
And she is a teacher, right? She's a Spanish teacher.
Right.
So
you're acting like there's not 5 minutes in between classes?
that's the thing. Yeah, you know for a fact that they have about 3.5 minutes between classes
Right.
where you can throw in the earbuds and listen to the first selection of my top 10.
Now, is she
Caitlin.
prioritizing things like going to the bathroom, having a snack, taking a second to herself? Maybe.
Sure.
I mean,
Right.
is that acceptable?
That's the thing.
I think
It's
it just seems like she doesn't want to listen to the show.
And that's the thing that I think we're going to start to figure out is that these excuses, a lot of them don't really line up.
I mean, taking care of the baby and in the middle of working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's also she's taking care of the baby. She's not working right now.
That's true. Right now, she is on maternity leave. That's
Yeah.
true. So she's got, all the
And she
time in the
still
world.
hasn't
I'm
been
sure she
listening.
would love to. It's probably good she's not listening to this segment. But anyway, that's next one in the middle of working. And now I've got another one.
By the way, I know for a fact they have lunch too. And does she bring her own lunch, or does she eat the school lunch?
Mostly brings her own lunch.
Okay. And then
She's good with like leftovers.
Yeah. Then she goes back to her classroom, I would assume.
Yes.
And
Right.
what, just sits there in silence?
True. You could pop on the Rock Chalk Sports Show.
Exactly.
Right.
Rock Chalk Sports, on Kansas Nation.
Next one, classic excuse. Not able to listen to the show because she's busy planning my birthday party. That's got to be what it is. Planning my birthday party. She says that all the time. She wasn't able to listen because she's still spending time planning my birthday party. That's got to be what it is. See, so I know that, no, she's not listening to the Daily Show, but she's spending time
insane.
on me in a different way.
Okay. I mean, that is so.
I'm telling
When
you.
is the last time
it's an
she said
excuse.
that?
Just all the time.
Your
man.
birthday's in
All
February.
the time. She can't find the time, man. It's an hour.
It's how elaborate are these birthday parties?
I'm telling you, man. It takes
What
a
about
year.
like the June shows?
It takes a year. If she's not taking care of the baby, if
Sure.
she's not working, she's planning my birthday party.
I get it. No, because she has to find all of those candles
Yes.
because you're so old.
Here comes the old joke. There it is.
There it is.
Damn,
There's-
you didn't
I
even get
mean,
Elijah to laugh on that
You
one.
gotta. I know.
Dang.
Dang it.
All right, you're up for back-to-back here. Draft
Planning your
excuses
birthday
that Caitlin
party
and
is
Piper
so
gave to not
good.
listen to our show.
That's so good. All right, for this next one, for my third pick. So you have taking care of the baby, working, and planning your birthday party. I have Piper is taking the dogs on a walk, and she says, "You never ask about my work." For my third one, I'm gonna go with I just hate listening to Sean.
Yes. See, I really wanted that one. I was going to take that one next.
Yeah,
That's something that I get as well.
She just hates listening to you.
Hate listening to my voice.
Yeah,
Okay. I hate listening
and,
to Sean's voice.
You know, everyone's got those things where everyone's got their flaws.
it's like a
And
mosquito, kind of.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
just
yeah.
can't get rid of.
Yeah, right, exactly. She's just like, man, that Sean guy, I just cannot stand him.
Yes.
It's something about it, man. She
So
just,
see,
just
as you can
irks
see,
her.
some of these
Yeah,
excuses aren't legit, but some are legit.
Yeah, she says I like listening to you,
Of course.
but just whenever Sean's talking, she just can't handle it, and
Yeah.
it just ruins it for
And
her.
I'm talking, half the time.
Probably, yeah.
And that's just too much. I mean, it's
Yeah.
too hard to pause, fast forward, find the time where you start, and then, I
if
get
you
it.
were to split it up, how much talking do you think you do compared to what I do?
That
Is it like
really good question?
Is it maybe like 55-45?
Maybe, but sometimes I just let you cook.
Because you open up every time.
I open it up and I close it, but
Yeah.
I mean, there are some segments I just want you to cook.
You like top
And
10s,
like we just did that Big 12
Taste
breakdown, and that was
Mondays. Right.
Dan Courtwright
It's
special.
true. Yeah. I think if you like lapse it over, it's probably
be close,
close to
though.
50-50. I bet you're
close.
like, it is like 55-45.
Plus, we got to
you.
take into account all the time that we talk over each other.
That's true. That is very true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I get it, right? A majority of the time that you're talking,
Yeah, right.
you can't really blame her for that, right?
Yeah.
So that one's a legitimate excuse that I can actually get behind. I go, okay, sure, you get that one's okay. And then for this next one, I'm not the target demographic. I've heard that before.
Oh, okay.
She's not the target demographic.
Who is the target demographic, would you say? Also,
Sports
is she
fans.
trying to pigeonhole us to trying to relate to sports fans?
Yeah, I think so.
I mean,
And-
look what we're doing now.
Right, I know. Yeah, we like to branch out and do different things, and we like to appeal to the masses.
Yes.
But she's a sports fan, right? She loves basketball. She played basketball in college, but you know, she's just like, if she's going to listen to something, it's usually like the Eagles or, you know, something like, she likes music. She'll listen to music in the car. So she'll put on, you know, a radio station or Spotify or whatever and listen to the music. So that's something that she's brought up, and she just doesn't know enough about Kansas athletics, which I always tell her, hey, well, we'll teach you.
Rock Chalk Sports.
Yes.
KansasNation.com.
And she still says, she's not the target demographic. Our target demographic is probably like, I don't know, just sports fans anywhere from 18 to, or no, I'd say from 1 to 100.
1 to 100. Okay. But once you hit 101, we're not targeting you anymore.
Yeah, stop listening.
All right. Draft of excuses that Caitlin and Piper gave to not listen to our show. I am up. And the next thing that Caitlin says as to why she cannot listen to Rock Chalk Sports on KansasNation.com is that she is busy dealing with a few things.
Dealing with a few, and that's
Dealing
just
with a few things.
Ominous.
She
What are
was
those,
not able
What
to,
are those things?
She was not able to listen to any of our shows in the past, and is still not able because she's
Dealing with a few things.
dealing with some stuff.
Question.
Yeah.
Is that stuff typically, and if I know your wife, target runs?
There are more than a few target runs involved, I'm sure.
Or like laundry.
I would imagine that would be
Does she
a
throw
thing.
the baby into those things? Like is dealing with the baby one of the few things,
See,
or those other things?
I'm not convinced that the things are actually
Existing.
yes.
Oh, interesting.
So that's but dealing with a few things is a big reason why she's unable to find time to listen to our show.
Okay.
And that brings it back to me
dealing with a few things.
dealing with a few
Yeah.
things. And then she's also apparently not able to watch or listen to our show because she's busy catching up on her correspondence. Catching up on her correspondence. Yes.
What does that even mean?
So essentially dealing with a few things. You know.
Okay. All right.
Communication with.
No, I get it.
Yeah. I mean,
Catching up on her correspondence.
Yes.
That's everyone's got to catch up on their correspondence.
Well, I mean, you get. It's if you're behind on texts or behind on emails or behind on messages, that sort of
Sure.
thing. She's got to
get it.
catch up on her correspondence.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
she's got a lot going on. I mean, first of all, planning my birthday party.
Huge.
That's a big thing.
That takes up so much of the day.
Absolutely.
Of the year, really.
Absolutely. Dealing with a few things or just like some stuff.
Yeah.
And then, catching up on correspondence. It's hard to find time.
And then in between that, she's taking care of the baby and working.
Right.
Right.
Which those two, I'm a little bit hesistent about.
Piper just hates you.
Right.
That's the biggest one.
All right, you've got two more here.
I got two more for mine. Man, I got a lot of good ones on here that I don't really. I'll go with this one because I think I actually do hear this one a lot. I heard you talk about that yesterday.
Oh.
Like I will get into like these rambling.
Like off the mic. Yeah.
Off mic. Like I'll be sitting there scrolling on my phone and I'll be like, oh my gosh, Shooter Sanders is in the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, I hate when you do the gasp thing.
That's worthy of a gasp.
Seriously, like I'll think that like my sister's in trouble or something, or like you across the street somebody's getting attacked or something because you'll be like, oh my God, Mike Vrabel said he eats 6 scrambled eggs for breakfast every morning. I'm like, what? I'm like, stop with the gas.
Shooter Sanders being in the Pro Bowl is gasp worthy. I have maybe done premature gasps in the past where they probably didn't warrant gasps.
Yes.
That one, the most recent one was Shooter Sanders getting into the Pro Bowl, which we'll talk about tomorrow. That one warranted a gasp. But I will go on these, like I said, I'll just be like, on Twitter or Instagram or whatever, and I'll just be like rambling about these things, or be like, oh yeah, Darren Peterson, blah blah blah, AJ Bonsa, and I'll just be like rambling about
That's
it. And
exciting that she listened to you.
Yeah, well, I don't
She
know.
just doesn't want to hear it again.
It's more like she's doing her own stuff, and it like trickles in to her, and she's like, well, I heard you were mumbling to yourself last night about this. So why would I listen to you say it again on a radio show?
Okay, fair.
Which I get,
Heard you talk about that yesterday. All right, and then
for
the
the
final
last one,
let me guess. You're in between 2 or 3, and you just can't decide which one you want to go with.
I am. Oh man, I'm gonna go with this. I was watching Bridgerton instead.
Okay, I mean that's legit.
She watches Bridgerton, which is essentially British smut. She has a few shows that she likes.
Are most of them smut?
Most of them are smut. Bridgerton. She's been getting into Lost lately.
Yeah, that's right. We talked about that. I love Lost.
Yeah.
Shout out Evangeline Lilly.
Yeah, shout out. It's a good thing they'll never listen to this. Modern Family, she'll throw on. She watches, we'll watch How I Met Your Mother sometimes. But she's catching up on her shows that she has already seen many times.
See, and that's probably legit. And for the record, taking care of the baby is legit as well. I
don't know about that.
Working though, I mean,
you could take time. Like how much? Like we're working right now.
And we're listening.
And I'm listening to this whole conversation.
I'm listening when I'm talking. I don't
Right.
most of the time listen when you're talking. All right, final thing in this draft of excuses that Piper and Caitlin give to not listen to our show. It is my choice. And the last thing I hear is Caitlin, she just can't find time to listen to the show because she's too busy writing me love letters.
Oh, that's so nice.
I know. So I'm looking forward to getting the first one of those at some point. But yeah, she's too busy listening.
Well, it takes time.
Yeah,
you
does.
write your first draft and you crumple it up and say, no, it's not good enough.
Honorable mentions. Let's hear them.
Oh, I got a lot. I don't like it when you get worked up. That's a good one that I have heard before. I have a job. That's one that
that's similar to the working.
Yeah, working. I'm working. I wasn't in the car today. That's one that I have heard
Which
before.
this is probably a good reminder that we are, available online.
Right,
YouTube,
we are
Apple
online.
Podcast, Spotify.
Right.
Really, wherever you get your podcasts.
Yeah, but she'll listen to things in the car. Like she'll throw on the podcast, or she'll throw on like Spotify in the car, and she'll be like, "Oh, well, whenever I listen to things,
wasn't working."
Yeah, whenever she listens to things, she's in the car, and so she was like, "Oh, well, I wasn't in the car today. Instead, I was at home and I had the TV on instead, or I was working, or I was walking the dogs, or whatever." I will see the important stuff anyway on social media.
At the Kansas Nation?
At the Kansas Nation on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Kansas Nation on Facebook. Check out Kansas Nation on YouTube as well, and kansasnation.com. And then I will let the professionals handle the listening.
Okay. Like KU Najee and Cole and Cody and Colin.
Shout out.
Yeah.
Shout out K. Najee. He actually texted me a draft idea.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Keep that in the barn burner.
It's a Bill Self.
Well, spoiler. Don't spoil it. Don't spoil it.
I kind of want to. Can I say it? Hold on.
Bill Self what?
Individual moments from the Bill Self era.
That's great.
So like
the T-Rob blocks, number one.
T-Rob block, Frank Mason's shot against Duke.
Right, obviously Chalmers.
Svi's travel.
That's right, those are good. My computer just died, so you're going to have to recap the draft.
Yes. So we did a fantasy draft of why our significant others do not listen to the show. Sean, excuses why they don't listen to the show. Sean's list is she was taking care of the baby, she was working, too busy planning his birthday party, too busy dealing with a few things, catching up on her correspondence, and too busy writing love letters, which is really nice.
To me.
To Sean.
Yes.
Not just in general.
Right.
My list is Piper was too busy taking the dogs on a walk. She says, "You never ask about my work." She hates Sean. She's not the target demographic. She heard me talk about it at home, and she was too busy watching Bridgerton.
Man, great stuff.
Yes.
That was fun. Fantasy draft that we break out a lot of Thursdays here on Rock Chalk Sports. Hope that you guys enjoyed it. Those of you who are listening, because I can assure you, Caitlin and Piper were not. Coming up after this, we're talking Kansas women's basketball as they are in action tonight in Fort Worth against number 12 TCU. More coming up on KansasNation.com. Brian Hanni was on the show a little bit earlier. He has a new episode of Hanni and the Hawks. Check out KansasNation.com or check out our Kansas Nation channel on YouTube. Brian Hanni sat down with Brennan Bouchard. He's got all sorts of KU legends, basketball and football, previous episodes as well, including one with Tyshawn Taylor that you'll want to check out. Time Out with Tyshawn Taylor, another podcast we have, Between Two Fountains as well. Greg Gurley and Mick Schaefer and Jayhawker as well.
Yeah.
Melvin Council.
Between Two Fountains.
Yes.
The Jayhawker, excellent.
There are two fountains.
Video. There are two fountains and two guys, and they are between them. But yeah, check us out everywhere on our social media pages, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, at the Kansas Nation, Facebook Kansas Nation, YouTube Kansas Nation as well. All of our shows are going to be up on YouTube. Check out KansasNation.com for the latest and greatest and all things Kansas athletics. Really appreciate that. And be sure to like, subscribe, follow, share, anything you can do to help spread the good word about Kansas Nation.
Yeah, very, very excited about all the new podcasts that we have rolling. All right, let's talk Kansas women's basketball on a little bit of a run. They won at Arizona, then they beat K-State on Sunday, but a big test awaits tonight, Dan.
Yeah, this is going to be their second, by the way, their second game in a row. It's going to be on national television tonight. They're playing on ESPN against TCU. TCU, they are number 12 in the nation right now, a very, very solid program. It's going to be at 5 o'clock today. So by the time this is coming out, they're already going to be playing. So be sure to be locked in for that on ESPN Kansas City. KU, but they're coming off of a 2-game streak right now. Like you said, they beat Arizona, and then they put a drubbing, as you like to say, on Kansas State in the last game on Sunday in the Dillon's Sunflower Showdown for the Sunflower Sweep, if you will. They're 3-6 in Big 12 play right now, but you look at the talent that this team has and you go, okay, well, that is not the way that this should have gone. They're 13-8 right now in total. 6 of their 8 losses have come in Big 12 play. Big 12 is really, really tough this year. Julia Davis, back-to-back Big 12 Freshman of the Week 4 times this year in a row, which is incredible. Only the 5th player in conference history to achieve the honor in 4 consecutive weeks. She's averaging 23.5 points per game and 8 rebounds per game. She's shooting 65.4% from the field and 72.2% from the stripe. Not great, but still really, really impressive over this past week. But TCU, they're a really solid team. You look at Olivia Miles, she's averaging 19.1 points per game and 7.2 assists per game. So not only is she their most prolific scorer, but she's also their most prolific facilitator of the ball as well. They got Marta Suarez down low, 15.5 points per game. By the way, Olivia Miles plays the guard spot, 19.1, like I said, points, 7.2 assists, 7.1 rebounds as well. So she's getting down there and getting those rebounds. Marta Suarez, like I said, a really solid player too. You get Donovan Hunter, who's averaging 12 points a game, shooting 35% from the three-point line, and Clara Silva, who's their center, 10 points a game, but 8.2 boards per game. So TCU, they don't have Sedona Prince anymore, and they don't have Haley Van Lith anymore. So some of the names that you're probably familiar with are gone now, but Olivia Miles is really the head of the snake when it comes to this TCU team and is one of the best players in the nation, and probably going to be a WNBA draft pick, I would imagine. She's going to play in the WNBA at some point in her career. This team is really solid, and Kansas going down to Fort Worth is going to be a tough matchup, but this could be potentially the game that pivots it, right? And you look at kind of springboard opportunities, if you will, for Kansas women's basketball. You had the Arizona win, which was big. You had the K-State drubbing. You beat them by 21 points. That was huge. Now you're going into Fort Worth against the number 12 team in the nation. You could win this game. The reason I believe that is because Kansas went up to Ames when Iowa State was a top 10 team, and they only lost by 3 points on a buzzer beater, game-winning three-pointer from Iowa State. Kansas has the talent. If Jalea is able to get going, if Samaya can get to the free throw line, if Elle is hitting all of her shots from the outside, if you get Lily Meister being dominant down low, Kansas has a legitimate shot at going into Fort Worth and pulling this off.
I hope so, because if they do, like you said, it could completely springboard Kansas and really flip the story of the season, starting 1-6, now 3-6 in Big 12 play. And we've mentioned after the TCU game, and you're not going to count anything as a win, but Kansas has 3 at home after the TCU game tonight, which is at 6:30, by the way. So at TCU and then home against Colorado and BYU. Both those teams are above Kansas in the standings, but they're both 4-4, beatable teams. And then Cincinnati is below Kansas in the standings. KU, after tonight, does not go out on the road until February 10th when they head to Lubbock to face the top 25 Texas Tech team. But unranked Colorado, unranked BYU, unranked Cincinnati, all in Allen Fieldhouse after this game against TCU. Nothing is guaranteed, obviously, but Kansas, there's a realistic possibility, even if they lose tonight, they could win 5 of 6. But if they win tonight, all of a sudden you're looking at 4-6. Hey, we could roll off 3 more and be 7-6. I think that needs to be the expectation without question. Iowa State, the women, like you said, Kansas, when Iowa State was top 10, went up to Ames and almost beat them. They have fallen out of the top 25 as they had 5 straight losses at one point. Still a solid team. They're still receiving votes. Obviously, they've got Audie Crooks, but has not been a fun year or as successful year as anticipated for the Iowa State women's basketball team. KU women against TCU, who's ranked number 12 in the country tonight in Fort Worth. We're talking Big 12 men's basketball standings after this on Rock Chalk Sports, KansasNation.com. KansasNation.com, the place to be. Everything that you need. Mention some of the Kansas Nation podcasts. The Jayhawker podcast is up there featuring Melvin Council, who's become a fan favorite. Also, last week's Jayhawker episode had Mike DeCourcy, college basketball analyst. You've got Greg Gurley and Mick Schaefer's Between Two Fountains show. You obviously have Hanni and the Hawks. Again, new episode of that dropped today with Brennan Bouchard. And you've got Tyshawn Taylor. If you want to rewind back to football, there's a Legends of Kansas podcast with Brandon McAnderson and Chris Harris Jr. as well. And obviously Rock Chalk Sports, we are on 4 to 6 every day. KansasNation.com, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Kansas women in action tonight at TCU. The Kansas men, big one, college game day, the 1,000th game in Allen Fieldhouse. So many great games, so many great memories. Technically.
Yes. The 1,000th game.
I'm confused by your technically.
Well, kind of like technically Kansas didn't make the Final Four in 2018.
Those games still are a part of it. It's still, those games still happened.
I thought somebody on, I could have swore I thought somebody on Twitter, so they still count the games, but they don't count the wins, right?
Well, there were some wins from that season that the NCAA vacated, which I think is temporary. But yeah, the games still happen. They still
okay. Sure. Okay. Then yeah,
still the 1,000th.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, to your point, when they talk about like all-time wins and stuff, the wins were technically vacated, but they'll be given back at some point. 1,000th game at Allen Fieldhouse.
Over under 10 years before we get them back.
I'm gonna say under.
Being under?
Yeah.
I love that.
KU BYU, 3:30 on Saturday, 2 o'clock, Crimson and Blue Show, Sports Radio 810 WHB, and across the Jayhawk Radio Network. Take a look at the Big 12 standings as they are right now after the midweek games. There were some games last night and some games on Tuesday, and then we'll look ahead, Dan, to Saturday's slate as well. We've talked about it. Arizona 8-0. They lead the conference. Houston and Texas Tech are both 6-1. Houston, they went on the road and took it to TCU, man. They don't miss a lot of beats. They've lost only to Tennessee and Texas Tech so far this season. So Houston and Tech, like I said, tied at 6-1. They've already played each other twice. So the losses that each of them have were hung on them by the opposing team. Iowa State and BYU, along with Kansas at 5-2. Again, UCF and West Virginia, those losses that we had on the road that we thought were absolutely dreadful, both those teams are 5-3 in conference play. TCU's 3-5, as is Cincinnati. Oklahoma State and Colorado are 2-5. Arizona State 2-6. Utah 1-6. And then how about the bottom feeders in the Big 12 Conference? The Jerome Tang Special, K-State and Baylor are both 1-7 right now.
You know what I saw, by the way? I saw a Baylor guy on Twitter saying, man, Baylor basketball just hasn't been the same since Jerome Tang left. I was like, how? Okay, well, you look at what Jerome Tang's doing right now. How much is that going to help you if you're Baylor?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny how he says that, but it's obviously not related, I would say.
No, I can imagine.
Coming up,
technically that's the common denominator, but
coming up this weekend, and I want to see if anybody's on upset watch on your book, Dan. 6 games on Saturday and 2 on Sunday. Of course, KU and BYU, the big one on Saturday, but Houston hosts Cincinnati. UCF hosts Texas Tech. Arizona State hosts Arizona. West Virginia hosts Baylor, and Utah hosts Oklahoma State. And then on Sunday, Sunday basketball, that was a mistake by me. I said that's women's basketball. So only 6 games on Saturday. We're kind of in this weird stretch in the 18-game slate where sometimes teams don't play over the weekend.
Right.
Kansas didn't have that because their bye was in the midweek. But those are the 6 games for the slate on the men's side. Big thoughts in terms of potential upsets from you, or how do you look at this slate coming up?
I mean, there's no lines out for these games right now. But I think when you look at Cincinnati, Houston, that one could be maybe a little closer than people anticipate. I think Cincinnati's kind of on a weird upward tick. They started off horribly.
There are 2 games on Sunday.
There are 2 games on Sunday.
K-State hosts Iowa State, and Colorado hosts TCU.
Oh, okay. Well, Iowa State's going to kill K-State. TCU, I think, is going to give it to Colorado. I think TCU, they lost by 9 points against Houston, but I still think TCU and David Punch are still really solid. I kind of like them. So I think that they're going to really give it to Colorado on Sunday. You look at Cincinnati, whatever that line is going to be, I like Cincinnati maybe to cover that. I know Houston's playing some good ball, but
likely
I think
double digits.
Yeah, it's probably going to be in the double digits, right? So you think Cincinnati might be able to hang around with them after beating Baylor. UCF and Texas Tech, I still am not fully bought in on UCF. I don't think that they're as good of a program as people seem to anticipate, although if they were, it would look a lot better for Kansas because that's one of their losses that they have on the year. I think Texas Tech's going to roll through them. Arizona State is terrible. So, I mean, obviously it's going to be Arizona. You look at Baylor, West Virginia, I think that's an interesting game to me. It's going to be in Morgantown. Baylor is not good. They're 1-7 in conference play right now. They got some good players, though. I think maybe Baylor could pull off an upset in Morgantown.
See, and I've kind of had that thought for Baylor many times this season, but they keep losing.
Is it the name bias?
They
is
played
that what it is?
at Cincinnati last night and weren't able to get it done.
Yeah.
It partially is the name bias, I would say, but they've got 2 pros on their team, and Yesfu and Carr, and they just haven't been able to get it done. But yeah, I would look at that. Again, West Virginia, a team that very low expectations, similar to UCF, honestly, heading into the season. And like I said, Kansas lost to both of them on the road, and we were feeling really down in the dumps. All of a sudden, those don't look like too bad of losses, as UCF is a team that's in the field right now, according to Joe Lunardi's ESPN bracketology. But yeah, very interesting, the struggles that Baylor has had. And then Oklahoma State, Utah. I mean, nobody's watching that game at 5 o'clock on Salt Lake.
Oklahoma State was playing good basketball in the non-con.
They were scoring a lot of points.
Man.
Steve Lutz in year 2.
They were, 12-1 in the non-con?
Is that accurate?
Right? I think so, right? They're 2-5 right now in conference play. They're 14-6 overall.
Yeah.
So if I did that math right.
Yeah.
Then yeah.
UCF also had a really good non-con, but they've obviously brought that over. Again, Arizona has a loaded February, as Kansas does. Obviously for Arizona, they get ASU, and it'll be really interesting to see. Of course, our focus is on BYU, and then after that, KU goes on the road, and then when you're back home,
brutal stretch.
When you're back home, you get, after the game in Lubbock, you get Utah at home, which is like, for lack of a better way of putting it, a break for Kansas during this
it feels
tough
mean,
schedule.
but it is true.
And then February 9th, big Monday against Arizona. I mean, that team could be 23-0 and ranked number 1 in the country at Allen Fieldhouse. So we're going to build up this BYU game, and it is going to be massive.
Well, then what you got after Arizona?
Yeah, and then after Arizona, you're at Iowa State. But in terms of Kansas potentially, and in all likelihood, barring a shocking upset, hosting the number 1 team in the country mere weeks after hosting the number 2 team in the country, Allen Fieldhouse again. On January 31st, the most important game in the world is going to be KU and BYU.
Yeah.
But then each of the games after that are going to be the most important game in the world. We're kind of in that part of the schedule, particularly when you talk about a potential number 1 team in the country undefeated coming in Arizona.
Yeah, I mean, just the February slate alone, I mean, just looking at it, like you said, and I'm going to consider this BYU game February Eve. 13 BYU at Texas Tech. Then you got Utah, whatever. Arizona coming to town. You're at Iowa State. You're at Oklahoma State, which could be tricky. It's always tricky every single year. Then you got Cincinnati, whatever. Then you got Houston, and then you got at Arizona.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And that's just an unbelievable February. And if Kansas comes out of there, Kansas could come out of there limping, or they could come out of there feeling really good about themselves.
We like what we've seen the past couple of weeks, but yeah, now it's time for big boy ball. Starts on Saturday, 3:30 against BYU. That's going to do it for Rock Chalk Sports today. Tomorrow we will do a deep dive on the Cougars. We'll have Shreyas Lada in studio, sports stock market. We're going to hear from Bill Self and much more. So don't miss Rock Chalk Sports tomorrow, 4 to 6, ESPN Kansas City and KansasNation.com. For Elijah Schmidt running the operations and Dan Courtwright saying we'll catch you then, KansasNation.com.